Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Everquest Old School. And on this episode, I am actually leaving Greater Fadar, and I'm going to head over to Khalid, and this is the entrance into the next zone over. And what I'm going to do is turn in some belts, basically so that I can hopefully get or not belts, well, I do have a few belts, but mainly shoulder pads, Lego shoulder pads, so that I can do the quest and hopefully get that last bubble of experience that I need to get to level 14. Now, I could have stayed in the group that I was in. They were doing all right, but after about 2 hours, I had gained about a half a bubble. Just to show you that unless you're in the throne room at level 13, really not going to be worth it for you. So now I'm over in Butcher Block Mountains, and I will do an entire video here with my paladin of where to solo and hunt. It's really not a group zone. There's not too many places other than maybe the chessboard that you could put a group together, and even then it would be kind of a small group. And there's no experience bonus for hunting in this zone. Most dungeons will have that kind of bonus, and like I've said before, it's there to promote people to group into those areas more than scatter, everywhere, because this game is huge. And if you didn't try to, or at least promote people to hunt in certain zones, you just wouldn't be able to find groups as easy. I mean, the people would still be on, and you could still, type in /LFG on your character, and you can do a who all LFG to see not just in your zone, but, server wide who's all looking for a group. And you could put a group together that way, but then people would still have to run over, and people are less likely to group with you if it's not in the same zone. Even if you are in the same zone, sometimes they're less likely to group with you because they may be doing something on the opposite side of the zone you want to hunt in. So the developers, I guess, figured that out, and they went ahead and just tried to promote people by giving them a bonus to experience in dungeons. And so if you're going to solo out here, which you're more than welcome to do, it's going to take you a little bit longer to kill and to get experience out here, because you're not in a group. When you're in a group, you kill faster, you have less chance of dying, which is why more people do it. Wow, she's running really, really fast. She must have a sew on or something. And I'm over encumbered right now, which is why I'm going so slow. I actually took off all my weapons, or not all my weapons, all my money, put that in the bank. The only thing I have in my backpacks is this right here. And of course, it does weigh quite a bit, and I don't really have all that much strength to begin with. At later levels, you'll get better armor as a cleric, and some of it will have strength on it. It's not a stat that you really go out of your way to get, but it just happens that some of the cleric armor will have strength anyway, so it's kind of nice, and it will let you carry a little bit more weight, which is really, really nice, because as you get to higher and higher levels, you'll find that more and more of the armor you wear is pretty heavy. Like bronze armor is incredibly heavy. Chainmail armor is heavy. In fact, I'll show you guys just how heavy it is. So you got 3.3 pounds just on a belt. Let's see, what about my cloak? This is 5.3 pounds just for a cape. Let's see, I got bronze pauldrons, so for my shoulders, another 4.2 pounds. Let's see, what about the pants? 5.5 pounds for pants. So you can see the pants, which you would think would be heavier than all the other ones put together, actually weighs just about as much as the cloak and the pauldrons, and the belt's really not that far behind, and the belt should be the lowest out of all of them. It is, but not by much. And then when you look at the shoulder pads that I'm carrying, the crushed bone shoulder pads, you'll see that's close to 2 pounds, and the belts are about a pound each. So it does add up with your armor. And then don't forget the backpacks all weigh a certain amount as well. So at higher levels, though, you can also get backpacks from different zones. Usually they're no trade, no drop, and they're hard to get, or at least in weird places that people normally don't go to get stuff, difficult-wise. But it will reduce the weight of anything put inside of it. So those are kind of nice, and they will help you carry more things and not get over-encumbered as easy. But you're just going to have to get used to it with certain classes. You're going to get overweight really, really quick and really easy. Clerics is one of them. Wizards is definitely another. Monks is definitely one of those classes that can't carry a lot, unfortunately. They're also a class that can't become over-encumbered, because when they are, their stats will start to dramatically decrease, and they just can't allow that to happen and still be a functional monk. So in those classes, you're definitely not going to be able to carry a lot. You're going to really go out of your way to get weight reduction backpacks for the very few that you even carry, and even when you have that, you're just not going to carry a lot. So I would suggest not making a monk as your first class, because you're not going to be able to make that much money. You're literally only going to pick up the rarest of rare items so that you can sell for hundreds, if not thousands, of platinum off of a named drop or something like that. But the rest of the people out there, they can pick up items that may be only worth 4 or 5 platinum and go back and sell to a vendor. Monks aren't going to have that capability, and so they're going to be, behind the curve on cash at the very beginning of the game. Towards the end, it's not going to be that noticeable. You're going to be able to obviously get rare drops and make a little bit of cash that way, but you're really going to be hampered at the very beginning. So I would suggest not doing that as your first class or your first character. Granted, if you don't mind maybe getting armor slower than most people because you can't afford it, if you don't mind being a poor class, poor character that just really has no money to their name, or if you have a friend who is willing to give you money, then you can go ahead and try it out. Or if you just don't care about any of that stuff and you're just like, I'm going to be a monk, I'm not going to try to stop you, but it does have its downsides. On the other side, it is an incredibly fun class to play. You can have fatigue death, which is a great thing to have. You can go and pull things better than almost any other class. You can do tremendous amounts of damage with your melee. So it is kind of cool in many, many ways, and it does have a function in the game. And most groups and most raids, for sure, will definitely want a monk somewhere along the way, because I kind of talked about it with chain pools, and basically a chain pool is one person will go off and pool a room that may be filled with 2, 3, maybe 50. What are they doing over here? They're green. I go ahead and buff them up. But that room may be filled with 1 or 2 creatures. It may be filled with 10 or 15 creatures. And what you want is just one of those. Or maybe you want 2. But you'll have the monk run in there, or the Shadow Knight run in there, grab aggro, and run it out to a safe location, and then fatigue death. And basically the creatures will stop for a second, and then start paving back. And they're paved back in different groups. They won't all pave back together. And this will allow you to basically have another person standing there, out of range, wait for 2 of the 15 creatures to still be back behind where the other ones have paved back, and just pull those off. And then he'll pull it back to the group, or he may even pull 10 of the 20 creatures towards him, fatigue death, and have a third puller go ahead and pull those off of him and pull those back to the group. So you're kind of lessening the number and the hard pulls bit by bit. So let's go ahead and turn these in real quick. Hopefully we can get the experience we need. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the belts in first, just to show you how much experience you get off of it. So right now my bibble is all the way at the very end of the bar, so basically I am just shy of having 4 bubbles. So let's see what happens here. Okay, so that gave me, let's see, I want to put it in here, I guess. So not too bad. That's basically another bibble for every belt. I thought I would get far less than that, or maybe 1/3 of a bibble for every belt. Yeah, if the belts are still giving me this good experience, I think the shoulder pads is going to give me an amazing amount. And in fact, I'll save these 2 belts for when I level so that I can turn them in and show you exactly how much you get out of that. So make sure they both are crush bone shoulder pads and not something different, because if you turn in one crush bone shoulder pad and one other shoulder pad like this one right here, you'll lose both of them. He'll keep both of them and he won't give you anything for it. So make sure that you got 2 of them in there and hit the give button. Oh wow, look how much experience I got out of that. That was quite a bit. So let's go ahead and turn these in. Again, make sure that they both are crush bone. And give. Nice. Oh man, I got my level. I can't believe it. Do another 2. Crush bone, crush bone. And you never want to have your items stacked when you turn into a quest. 2 more. There we go. So now if you look at my experience, I'm about 2 1/3 bibbles into the level. So what we want to do is turn in this belt and see what we get for it. Make sure it's crush bone. Ooh, wow, that's not a crush bone belt. So I'll go ahead and hit cancel. Rawhide. So that's not a crush bone belt either. So it's a good thing we checked that. Okay, so we can't turn those in. But I'll go ahead and show you some of the items we got off of the creature, or off of the NPC for turning in. You know, they're not the greatest, but they're also not the worst. In fact, I think that might be better than what I'm wearing. No, that's exactly the same as what I'm wearing. Yeah, so they're pretty nice. I mean, they don't weigh all that much. 1 pound, less than a pound for the thing that goes around your neck. 1 pound for the gloves, and the wrist is less than 1 pound. But you get a decent amount of AC for your level, so it's definitely worth doing if you're around anything under level 14. Basically, maybe level 15 for the shoulder pads, but I wouldn't do it past that. The same thing for the belts. I would only go about to level 10. It did seem like they were still giving us a decent amount of experience at our level, but it gives you far, far better experience at lower levels, and you can make quite a bit of money off of them by selling them to other people. Anywhere from 2 platinum a piece to 10 platinum a piece. So usually I would suggest just doing that so that you can make a little bit of extra cash for your new level spells. Again, guys, we're going to go ahead and end the video here, and I'll start back up in a second when I start making my trek over to Unrest. So, in fact, before I do that, sorry guys, before I do that, let me go ahead and mend my spells so that you guys can see that real quick. So let me go over and put these on real quick. So we got Smite, which is a new level damage spell. We got Symbol of Trasare, which I believe uses a gem and it gives you more hit points. We got Sense Summoned. So if there's any like elemental creatures that have been summoned, you can sense that. Cancel Magic. Let's see. Bind Affinity, so we can bind ourselves and other people who are in our group. You got a new healing spell, definitely going to come in handy. Endure Cold, so that you take less hits from cold damage. Endure Disease, so you take less hits from disease spells. Expulse Undead, that's a direct damage spell to undead only, which is going to come in handy in Unrest. Halo of Light, not quite sure what that does. I think that's just a light source spell. And Invisibility versus Undead. This is one of the only invisibilities that you get as a cleric, so that's kind of nice, especially on Unrest, where it's going to come in handy. So let's go ahead and we'll get rid of Soothe and this one. In fact, we'll get rid of all of those and put down our new heal spell. And you'll see it takes a little bit longer to put on. We'll go back. Let's see, where's our other heal spell? And that one right there. Light healing. Actually, I think that is the one I used to be using. Yeah, and then minor healing. And I like to have at least 3 heal spells, sometimes 4, but at least 3 for different situations. Let's see, all the way to the last page. I'll do symbols as well. And we'll try casting this in a second and see if you need something to do it. And let's see, Root. Root's nice to have, and I'll definitely put that back on, but I want to put Bind Affinity because we're going to go to Unrest. I'm going to bind myself over there. So let's go ahead and stand up. We'll go ahead and cast our new symbols. I'm pretty sure we'll need a gem for. And you do. You need Cat's Eye Agate to cast that. And let's see. That's pretty much all we're going to do for now. Again, guys, I want to thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys in just a second. Okay, so we're back now, and I was actually just going to cut and paste and show you guys me there at Unrest, but I figured some of you guys may actually like to see the journey. I know when I watch a lot of the other Let's Plays of different video games that I've never played, part of the thing I see that they skip out on or they cut out on a lot that I'd really like to see is just the everyday, sometimes what people would call the boring stuff, just the walking, the running, getting from one town to the next, selling at a vendor, things of that sort, because most people cut that out because I guess most viewers think that's not as interesting as like the combat and things of that sort. But for me, it's one of those things that unless you actually played the game, you don't actually get to see it too often. It's not put into the videos as much as I would like. So I figured I'll go ahead and make a couple videos like that, see what you guys think. If you want me to cut out the running from now on, I'm more than happy to do that. It's what I've been doing before. But for those of you who want to get more feel of how just vast this game really is, and you see people fighting in a dungeon and you don't remember that, oh, it took like 3 hours just to get to that dungeon. And when you die, they will, oh, okay, I'll do a corpse retrieval when I get back to the dungeon and we'll start from there. That's another 3-hour run. And sometimes that run isn't exactly safe. I've done corpse retrieval runs that before I even get to where my corpse is, I've already died again. And sometimes multiple times, just trying to get back to the zone that my corpse was originally in. And you end up doing not just one corpse retrieval, but multiple corpse retrievals. And sometimes you have to leave your corpse there and just go off and try to get your main corpse, so you could have some armor and stuff, and actually be able to come back and then res your other corpses. For me, because I was always playing a cleric, but it's very difficult in this game sometimes to get around, and I figured maybe you guys want to see that. There's certain zones, and I mentioned it before in some of my other videos. There's one in particular that I remember quite well, over by Kazakh. They get so dark, literally, that when it's nighttime, people will sit there at the zone entrance and wait the 30 or 40 minutes for it to become daytime again, so they can run through it. I mean, it's one of those zones that even if you're a dark elf, you still have a hard time seeing, because it's just so pitch black there. And that's kind of cool that they made zones like that have their own, basically, climate, their own effects and things. There's some zones that get a lot real foggy, and it kind of makes going through those a little bit more difficult. So some people avoid them for those reasons, whereas other people enjoy that kind of climate. Like, I enjoy rain. Any type of rain in games, I enjoy the sounds, I enjoy the look of it in real life as well. So when there's a zone that it rains in, if I could find a zone where it rained all the time, I'd be in that zone all the time. I would be the zone that I'd stay in as the longest I possibly could. Zones that have snow, I love snow, so I'll go to those zones like Hollis and stuff. I'll spend a lot of time in those as well. But yeah, it's just it's cool that they have their own climates, because most games nowadays don't really put that into it to the extent that this one did, to where it actually hampers or even enhances your gameplay. Usually they try to play on the side of caution and just they put it in there, but it doesn't affect you too much because it's just kind of a light fog, or it's a light rain that only happens, for a few minutes here and there, kind of like a sprinkle, And I would love to play a game like this that could literally flood, like you could get seasons where during the time of the year that you're playing, because they have holiday events, so they can put that in there if they really wanted to. But I would love to see like seasons where you get like the monsoon season, or even tornado seasons, where you'd have literally tornadoes coming through and tearing things up, and it'd make things difficult, and you'd know to avoid those zones. And if you didn't avoid them, you'd risk running into those kind of things, or the flooding, which could flood some of the galleys or crevasses here in the zone. And that would just be cool to have the zone constantly changing depending on the weather of a game, and it just, they don't really do that. I guess maybe it's too extensive, or maybe they feel that most people wouldn't enjoy it. I don't know what their reasons are behind it, but I think that would be very, very cool. Leave a comment down below, guys. I would love to hear what your take on it is. Do you think they should do stuff like that, or are you happy with the way it is, where they don't put weird stuff that could really adversely affect your gameplay? I mean, you may really love a certain zone, and you like going there and hunting something, and then this big monsoon comes in, and you're like, oh, now I can't hunt here anymore because it's flooded, But I don't know. I think that would be a little bit more realistic, because they're always trying to go for the more realistic thing. Like in this one, you have to drink food and water. That's realism. There's no point in forcing me to drink food and water in a game like this, because in the very beginning, before all the later expansions came out, the food and water didn't do anything for you. It didn't add any stats, no extra strength, no extra stamina, no nothing at all. It just mainly allowed you to have your health regeneration and power regeneration stay at the normal levels. Because if you didn't eat and you didn't drink and you used your power, eventually it wouldn't regenerate on its own. And you would have to have some kind of outside source, either clarity or something along those lines, feeding you power for you to ever get any more, and the health as well. So beyond that, there's no benefit to drinking and eating. So it would be cool if they went one step further and made it a little bit more realistic in some of the later ones. But I don't know, EverQuest, now that I'm looking at like EverQuest Next, which is the third edition to the series, it's, I hate to say it, but it looks more and more cartoony every single time, and it's going more and more kiddie. And maybe that's where all the money is, but I would prefer something a little bit more hardcore, a little bit more geared towards older people. I mean, there's plenty of games out there that are geared towards the younger generation, and like I said, maybe that's where the money is, so that's where everybody's going, but I'm pretty sure you can make a decent living off of gearing it towards some of the hardcore gamers that want that challenge, that want that look, that want that tactics being the number one, and not ease of play all the time. And I'm one of those people who have played games. Like, I'm playing a game right now called Underrail, and it's like a Fallout kind of game, and it's very, very, very difficult on the learning curve. It's one of those ones that I've categorized as a hardcore game, and I'm having a difficult time playing it, but I enjoy it. And the more and more I learn of it, the more I enjoy of it, because it's one of those ones that the more in depth you go, the more you see the possibilities of, oh, you know what, I can go and do this, and I could really tweak my character in this direction, and my guy would be completely different from yours, simply because I understand where I'm putting my points and how they need to go. And too many games just kind of gloss that over and just like, okay, here's your standard warrior, you're set, you're going to be the exact same as every other warrior on the entire server, and maybe the only thing different is you can change your looks at the very beginning, which most of the time will cover up with armor, and you won't be able to see it anyways, and so you'll look the exact same as well. So I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's just a overall effect for these other games that have coming out lately to just completely and totally make you the same as everything else. And I kind of like the ones that make you an individual, that you can stand out, and people look at you and be like, your build and your playstyle and your skill and your knowledge of a character has really affected the fact that you're just a great pooler, or you're a great healer, or you're okay enchanter. I mean, you should have levels of skill on a player that affects how well and how good he is. I mean, that gives you a sense of pride and accomplishment, Watch out for this guy. What level is he? Yellow. Do I have root up? Bind affinity. Let me see. I'll take off my smallest heal, and I'll put root up real quick. Where is it at? Root. Now, normally I would suggest walking the cliff's edge, the zone line right over there. But on this one, there's a lot of drops on that side, and you can die fairly easy going that direction. And there's also a little guy up on the cliff anyway, so my suggestion would be to try to get over here to the water line. Be very careful. You want to make sure that you don't get attacked getting here, and you want to make sure you don't go in the water, because there are things in the water that occasionally will swim by and attack. You can see it right over there in the water. Can I target him? An aqua goblin, marine, no, that's not what it is. You can see, oh, it is actually right there. He's swimming through the water. And you don't want to get up too high on the edge. Oh, there's a couple more. Hopefully they can't come out. You can hear the rats up there. But if you get too high up, they will attack. Granted, if you come here at later levels, you don't have to worry about these things. These are semi-low level creatures, level 14, 15, 16, maybe up to level 20 if you get really unlucky, but overall not too high. And you can come all the way over here from, I believe somebody said 25 would be the highest you really want to go to Unrest, but we'll see as we go through the zone. I'm going to stay there as long as possible, and then eventually I'm going to go to Mistmore as well and check out that zone. That's a a zone for a cleric. A lot of groups, a lot of undead, a lot of bonus experience for killing. And you'll see right over here, there's a little camp right in front of us. That camp is somewhat difficult to get by. You, again, have to be very, very careful how you move. You want to be very aware of your surroundings, because just one wrong step and you're going to be dead. And you're going to die very quickly, and you're going to need to know where you're at so you can come back and get your corpse. Stay very close to the water level over here so you don't get those guys up on the cliff. And then we'll come up a little bit. And you can see just right up ahead the entrance to the zone, right there on the wall. It's kind of hard to see if you're not sure what to look at, but it's literally right there in front of us. And I'll show you guys in a second. There are a couple of creatures that sit right here in front of the zone sometimes, so don't just go running by. Somebody's obviously killed them, or they've paved off. But right here is the entrance to Unrest. Fairly easy to get to if you know what you're doing. Now you can climb up on the wall, take the wall all the way here, and then just drop down. Of course, it's going to hurt you a little bit dropping down into this entrance. And if the creatures are there and they're ready to attack and they grab, aggro, you can just zone them, because the zone is literally right here around the corner. You can see all the corpses of people who didn't quite make it and drag their corpse over here hoping to maybe get a res from somebody. I believe level 29 is the earliest a cleric gets a res, and then I think it's a pretty pathetic res. It may only be like 39% or something like that. But then again, a res is better than nothing, even if it is 39%. Granted, you want the 96% res from a level 49 or 50. I don't remember exactly what level you get that at, but that's what you want. So here we are. We are in the estate of Unrest. Let's see how many people are in here. 16 players. So let's put our LFG on. Let's change my little hotkey from 13 to 14, because we are now level 14. And shout out and see what kind of response we get. Now, again, I am not very familiar with the zone, so even if somebody says, hey, come to this room, I'll be like, hey, I have no clue how to get there. You just got to watch out for trains. This zone is notorious for trains, and you see there are plenty of corpses here at the entrance. Oh, look at this. A death beetle ready to attack. So if we don't get a reply here soon, I'm just going to go ahead and end our episode here, and I'll start back up as soon as I get a group, guys. Hopefully I can get one fairly quickly. They said this was a pretty good zone to come to. There's a level 15 cleric here, so it is the right zone. Oh, another level 15 cleric. It might just be that there's too many clerics here for the groupage. We'll have to see. Well, that didn't even attack him. He must be pretty high. Okay, so we never got any response. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and end the episode, guys. Again, I want to thank you for watching. If you like these, please hit the like button, subscribe. Definitely leave comments down below. I'd love to hear back from you guys on what you hope to see. If you have any suggestions on where to hunt here, good rooms to start with, kind of ease your way in, things to watch out for. I know somebody was saying there's one camp here in Unrest that when the mobs paid back, they see through the invisible bush or something like that, and they always hit you no matter what happens. That would be kind of interesting information to pass on to everybody else who may want to hunt here in the future. Again, I want to thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next episode.